What's up, everybody? It's Pikel. I'm joined by Ghost, and as everyone knows, he's Alan number one. Alan number two is stuck in traffic. Traffic. Looking for my chapstick. Uh, somebody in the
Yeah,
comments, please. Somebody in the comments, please finish that. If everybody doesn't know what that's from, that's sad. So that's basically it. Last week we had a couple scheduling conflicts on my end, and I was not able to join the videos, but I'm here now. So, how do you think the how did last week's videos predict everything going? Were you guys pretty accurate or what?
I'd say we did pretty good. The first day wasn't great, but we were pretty on par with the LEC, LCS, like the second slate, I think, not the longer one. But yeah, Alan pretty much said that TL was going to do better in the best of five than they did throughout the summer or the whole season, I guess, because they had lost five best of ones. So TL coming out on top of TSM was an interesting surprise.
Yeah, I wasn't that surprised. In my Discord, I said, this is a spot where TSM loses. Like, the reason I liked TSM in the spring split to beat Team Liquid in that matchup was because I thought TSM was undervalued, but after having good performances, people just think, oh, it's a different TSM. They'll be able to beat Team Liquid. But TSM loses, like, they can lose to anybody. We've been saying this for the past couple weeks. And if you can lose to anybody, then you probably should lose to a team like Team Liquid, which is kind of sad. But we have a 3-game slate starting tomorrow, so we're going to go over those 3 matches, and then maybe we'll give a quick preview of the other ones, but probably just a 3-gamer. So that's about it. Let's get started.
Yeah, we'll hop right into the slate. Like you said, we got a 3-gamer here. It kicks off in the LCS. We have Cloud9 versus Evil Geniuses, both now in the losers bracket. How they all got here: Team Liquid beat Cloud9 3-1. Then Cloud9 went on to beat Golden Guardians 3-0. EG, on the other hand, beat Dig 3-1, but lost in a very close series to 100 Thieves 3-2. So, someone here has to lose. Someone moves on. Who's going to be trying to punch their ticket to Worlds? Will it be Cloud9 or Evil Geniuses, Michael?
Okay, so before I give my answer to who I think will win the match, I wanted to go lane by lane. So I have some notes that I just dragged up onto the wrong screen. But I think that C9 has a better top lane, jungler, and mid laner. And then I think that EG definitely has a better bot lane. Even though most people will probably say that Vulcan is better than Ignar, I think the gap between Danny and Sven is probably bigger than Vulcan and Ignar. And the way that I see it lane by lane is in top lane, Fudge is a more versatile player at this point in his career than Impact is. Impact, if Kennen is very good, I think Impact should be able to play Kennen very well because of how important that champion has been, specifically in like the LCK for a long time, and it's making a resurgence right now because a lot of the matchups are kind of easy for Kennen to get through the laning phase and then be very pun not intended impactful. So I think that the draft is really where EG would have to get an advantage in the top lane, but there aren't many spots where I feel like Impact is going to be playing for a scaling late game champion. I think it's more likely that we'll get Impact playing something like Kennen, which is a scaling champion, but it's not a hard carry champion in the same way that a Camille is a hard scaling champion. So far in the playoffs, they played Set, Gnar, Kennen, Gnar, and then against 100 Thieves. Let me just get that. Against 100 Thieves, it was Ornn, Jace, Ornn, Sion. So I think that shows that Impact is more likely to pick a tank or Kennen, Gnar. Sometimes we'll get a Jace, but I don't think that they're better off playing around that because I think that C9 should be playing around the top half of the map and EG should be playing around the bot side of the map. In the jungle, I think Blabber is just a better version of Contracts. I don't know if Contracts or Svenskeren will be playing, but if it's Blabber against Contracts, Blabber plays all the champions just better. And then if it's Blabber against Svenskeren, they play all of the champions better, and stylistically, I'd rather have the carry player than the tank player. The only reason why Svenskeren would be playing is because of Viego. Because C9 has a very high priority on Viego, which 100 Thieves was able to exploit in their matchup, which eventually led to Contracts being benched in Game 5 and looking like he was going to cry on camera. Which, I mean, if he was going to cry, like, I completely get it. Like, totally justified. The kid has had a tough time getting, like, subbed out in weird spots, and, like, I'm not trying to diminish their, like, emotional reality, because I could only imagine how shitty that is. I think that C9 is more flexible in the draft. If I'm C9 and I am trying to win the match, I attack Jizuke and Danny in the early and mid game, and I force them to try and outplay us through like a macro game with positional League of Legends and trying to split push. So you'd get Jizuke onto a split pushing champion, it may be like a 1-3-1 or a 4-1, and then you would try to create a gold advantage through like splitting, and making C9 hard engage onto the other members of the team, like 5v4 or something like that, which would allow EG like split pushing chances, which is okay. Evil Geniuses has a very high priority on Varus, and like I said before, Danny and Ignar are the most important part of the team, so Danny needs to be on a carry for Evil Geniuses to have any chance here. Like, can Perks just completely run it down and die 10 times in two of the 5 games? I think the answer is certainly yes. But it's just a lot easier for C9 to play around the top half of the map. Basically, forget bot lane, so put Vulcan onto something that can roam well. And hopefully if Evil Geniuses is doing the same thing, because that's really what it comes down to. If C9 is playing for the top half of the map and has a support that can roam well, then EG needs to either draft for Ignar to punish the lane by all innings Ven, or have a roaming champion that can match the roams from Vulcan. If Ignar matches the roams from Vulcan, then you're playing into a talent disparity on the top half of the map. So I just think that it's the best case scenario for EG is if the top half of the map is just given up on by Evil Geniuses and the bottom half of the map is given up on by C9. That's how I could see a very interesting game playing out that could keep a close series. But I think that C9 is just too talented to lose to Evil Geniuses. I love Danny. I think that the Tristana play was pretty insane. Like, mechanically, yes, but also just having the wherewithal to understand how to win that matchup how to win that fight with no one on their team alive. It's very difficult, and they had to basically play it perfectly, and they were able to do that. So my first reaction when I saw that was, well, if EG makes it to Worlds and Danny plays like this at Worlds, and he's going to get signed by a Chinese team or TSM, whoever has more crypto money, that's where he's going. But that's basically it.
Is that what it's going to be? Whoever has the most crypto is going to be winning it all?
They're going to be winning the Danny sweepstakes, yeah.
So the Danny lottery.
Yeah, from a DraftKings perspective, C9 is the most expensive team on the slate in most positions, which isn't that surprising. I think C9, EG, and Misfits Fnatic are where people are going to go for most of their fantasy players because the kill scores just seem like they're going to be higher. I think it's more likely that TSM and Immortals kind of falls into a macro game. So if I was ranking the 3 matches, it would be Misfits Fnatic first, C9 EG second, and IMT TSM third. And the reason I say that is because the C9 EG series is much more likely to devolve into a macro game where teams are giving up stuff on the map to make sure they can be somewhat close at the 20 to 25 minute mark. I don't see Fnatic and Misfits doing that as much. It's certainly possible, because I think that if Fnatic gets an early game advantage, Misfits might just try to like wave the white flag and play for late game, but definitely the first 2 matches are going to be the more interesting ones for DraftKings.
Yeah, I guess on my end, you never know what Cloud9 is going to show up, and I think that's going to pretty much dictate this match. I think EG have kind of stabilized a little bit to where they're not as chaotic as maybe you'd say in spring, but yeah, this one I can kind of see devolving into a little bit of madness, just like our next matchup we'll talk about. We have Fnatic versus Misfits. Two teams that have been involved in very high-scoring games over the summer. So, Michael, are we sticking with the Misfits, or are Fnatic gonna rise up and we're just gonna see the same teams in playoffs here?
So right after I realized what the matchup was, I was very happy that it would be our Misfits boys going up against Yamato Cannon to remove him from the Rift, because I'm not surprised that Fnatic beat Vitality, but I'm surprised with how they beat Vitality. I think that Vitality should have won that series probably. Had some pretty bad drafting spots and just some bad gameplay spots altogether. So in their matchup, just getting it on the screen. The Diana Yasuo composition from Vitality was really good. I think that is a very strong combination that teams should be drafting around a lot of the time. They made Vitality made a couple of big mistakes in terms of how they were playing around the bot lane. So like picking Ezreal right now seems pretty bad as a blind pick, and against a lot of the other champions that are in League of Legends right now, because you can just lose the laning phase so hard. So unless it's like a response pick, a lot of the times you're just going to feel pretty bad. That's kind of just that. Vitality really went after the early game, and I don't think that Misfits is going to do that to the same level, which I guess could be kind of concerning. Do we know who won the games during the regular season? Fnatic versus Misfits, do they split 1-1?
I can bring it up really quick.
Yeah, so while you're doing that, the line for this one is -140 to Misfits +110. I think that's probably right. I do think that Misfits has pretty good chances to win this, though. And I want them to win. But that's always the spot that I get into, where it's like, I want a team to win, so I just want to make the argument for why they could win. I think Adam against Hyrule is pretty similar. Adam was given he was basically done a lot of favors by other teams not drafting around him for a lot of the season, where he looks very strong because he's getting into good matchups around the top side of the map with like a lot of Renekton games and stuff like that, which just makes you seem better because you're always in an advantageous position in the early and mid game. And Fnatic's good enough where they force the issue early enough that, you know, they just basically win. He played Olaf, Mordekaiser. He got a Renekton game. Played Mundo. Mundo's garbage. I think that's a big trap right now that a lot of teams are kind of falling into. Lane by lane. Do you think that Hyrule and Adam are close? I feel like they kind of are. They're just stylistically very different. Like, Adam's more bruiser fighter champions when they're kind of popping off, and Hyrule's a little bit more finesse with like being able to play the Gwen and stuff like that.
I want to say Adam's the better one, but I don't know. They both seem serviceable to their teams. To go back to the Misfits on the summer, they actually beat Fnatic 2-0.
Okay. So let's look at those scoreboards. Favor. Let me see those scoreboards. Fnatic Misfits. Okay, so week one, day one. Vezio had an 11-2-4 Akali game, which is checks notes good. And then it should be week 5, right? Fnatic. Nope. It's not there. Fnatic Misfits. Maybe it was week 8. Do they invert it?
Yeah, it was
Fnatic Misfits.
8,
yeah.
Day 1.
So then we had we had Misfits giving away the Renekton. Viego was banned. Varus was banned. It's an interesting composition from Fnatic in that spot. They fell into the Mundo trap again. So if they're actually playing a lot of Mundo, that's a spot where I'd want to be against teams playing Mundo because it's similar to what we saw from G2. Like, theoretically, yes, you have a hyper tank. That's cool. But a lot of the times, hyper tanks like Tahm Kench and Mundo, Sion, Ornn, they just don't do anything in the middle of the game and the late game without being able to hit their CC onto priority champions. Like, yeah, Ornn has a long range engage, that's nice, but after that's done, you're just kind of walking around unless they're in a tight gap for some reason, and you can like get a Q WE. Same thing with Mundo. He's like just running around. It's not really very helpful for most style of team fights.
Yeah.
I think in the jungle, I do think that Bwipo and Razork are pretty similar in terms of skill level. But again, Bwipo is more likely to play something like Dr. Mundo or Trundle than Razork is. Razork is more likely to go after a carry champion, which I always prefer the carry side because it gives you additional upside. Like, it's more high variance, but within that variance, you're creating an edge for yourself. Because a lot of the time you're going to have tempo advantage because, like, you'll be able to force action and, like, being a tank is nice, but being able to kill the entire other team is just better. I think Vetio is better than Niski at this point. I don't like Niski's playstyle and their champion pool. Like, do they have games where they're playing Assassins and Akali and stuff like that? Yes, but I feel like it's more likely to get Niski onto champions that are not going to be able to express like a skill advantage in the mid lane. I think that Vetio is more likely to be able to do that. And then Upset and Hylissang against Kabe and Vander. Vander is very underrated. He plays a very similar role to a lot of the other veteran support players that are in the LEC. So I think that they're very similar to Hylissang in the level of like experience that they bring to the bot lane. Hylissang is always willing to kind of int when it's the right thing to do, which sounds counterintuitive, but there are a lot of times where when you're in a losing position, you need somebody on your team to go out on a limb, try to make a courageous play, and Fnatic always has that in their back pocket with Hylissang. But I think Kabe and Upset are very similar players. It's like the prototypical AD carry. So there aren't huge edges in terms of skill in that spot, so it's going to come down to drafting. So if it's going to come down to drafting, Fnatic is stuck with Yamato Cannon, so that gives Misfits the edge overall. But like I said, I'm biased. I want Misfits to win because I hate Yamato Cannon. But I also hate Niski, so there's a lot of hatred going on here.
There's just a lot of hatred when it comes to you in League of Legends.
Yes. So with that being said, if you're projecting Misfits to win, even in a 3-2, I think that Misfits is going to probably be the highest scoring team on the slate. If Fnatic wins this matchup, I feel like they have lower ceiling because Misfits could always kind of try to lower the number of interactions between the teams so that they can get into the late game. I think Kabe teams in general have been like that historically. So just based off of those first two games, I think that C9 Misfits, all the combinations of those two teams, with AD carry captains, mid lane captains, and jungle captains are going to be very interesting ways to give yourself a very high ceiling in DraftKings scoring, because like I think EG and Fnatic are probably the preferred losers that you want to play against. And then if you think that TSM's able to 3-0 Immortals, maybe you can sneak in like one or two TSM players into different spots to try to get a unique lineup. So spoiler alert, I like TSM more than Immortals. but that's it for the second game, so let's get into the last one.
Yeah, I guess you already talked about the last one here. It's TSM versus Immortals. I don't see much of a way Immortals can pull this one out, but maybe you can play devil's advocate here and maybe make a case for it.
Yeah, so I obviously make a lot of jokes about Dardoch, like being on the coaching staff and like that kind of stuff having some kind of influence. I don't think that Dardoch has done as much to change Immortals as a team. I think that they've been a pretty decently coached team the entire split. Like, Giotto is a very opinionated person, and he has like a lot of funny stuff that he'll say on the broadcast or on Twitter or something like that. But in reality, I think he's done a pretty good job considering the players that he has on his roster. I think it's very easy to go to the talent level of these players and say that Huni is better than Revenge, Spica is better than Xerxes, Power of Evil is better than Insanity, and that Sword Art is better than Destiny, but Raze is probably better than Lost at this point because Lost has looked horrible. So with how bad Lost has looked, you need to basically answer the question of like, is Lost as bad as they've seen so far? And if TSM has an advantage in all of those other positions, is it a big enough talent discrepancy where Immortals can just play to that one win condition of letting Lost kind of suck? I don't really think that's the case. I think it's probably overblown. But Lost has looked bad. Like, you just can't depend on him to be the late game carry throughout an entire series. The thing with TSM I'm always afraid of in these spots is that these are spots that they should win, and we should be comfortable picking them. But I'd be surprised if people are actually comfortable picking them. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel good to pick a TSM lineup when you have the opportunity to play Misfits, Fnatic, EG, and C9. So it's going to be probably depressed ownership in a lot of the player spots. I think that it'll be easier for people to convince themselves to play TSM in the team slot, probably, if you want to do like a 4-2-1. I'm just trying to get their... I want to see what their drafts looked like against Team Liquid.
I guess the only rough part about that is that TSM's the most expensive team on the slate, while you actually get a discount on their players. So I don't know if maybe you get an ownership advantage.
Yeah.
Going with TSM players here, which might not be that bad if Immortals get super desperate and they're just like, throw everything at them because if we're out, we're out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely true. I did watch some of the TSM Team Liquid match, but that was on Sunday after I was playing golf and got drunk, so don't really remember all of it. They played Aurelia against Gnar, which isn't horrible. The Lee Sin pick is kind of They played Ziggs, which I just don't think that... I think that the Ziggs pick is kind of exploitable now at this point. And a lot of people who like play DraftKings and see Ziggs and see Ziggs winning sometimes, they probably don't fully understand why Ziggs is so much different from a lot of other champions that players will use in the bot lane. Ziggs is like all skill shots unless you're utilizing his passive from auto attacks. You're just not getting the same amount of consistent damage from the AD carry position. Whether or not like the damage profile of your team can allow for a thing like Ziggs, it's just such a much more difficult way to play League of Legends, because you're basically giving up on interacting with the other team in the bot lane. You're looking to wave clear. You're trying to put Ziggs alone, so then he becomes a target for the other team to kind of attack. Like, if you can wave clear a bunch, like, yeah, it's going to feel pretty good. But unless you get some kind of wombo combo off with Ziggs, it's kind of just not a very good pick right now. And people might disagree with me. I know that Ziggs has had pretty good win rate, but I think it's because when it was originally played, there were a lot of good spots for it to be played that paired up with champions that made it easier for him to hit skill shots and hit his ultimate. But as time goes on, people get more used to playing against Ziggs, and it's just not as impactful. They also played Ezreal. TSM banned Thresh and picked Aphelios. That's interesting. It's just tough. It's just tough to feel good about them. Power of Evil should be able to get TSM in the late game consistently. is playing Azir again, which is always good. Like Azir, Syndra, Orianna are the three main champions that I like. Power Vivillon. He can play assassins. Like he proved that I think last split and last year when he started pulling out more of those types of champions. My gut says TSM, but my brain is like, you always do this, and then TSM looks like shit and is going to disappoint everybody. Which is definitely possible. What's the money line there? Plus 200 for Immortals. Wow. How do they play against each other during the split? Let's see.
TSM Immortals?
Yeah.
Pull that one up here really quick. Immortals versus TSM. Immortals are 0-5 versus TSM.
Yeah, so that should make you feel good, but there's no... I don't think there's any way that TSM sweeps Immortals like that. Man, I don't know. It seems like the way that Immortals can win is it just seems too easy to stop. Like, if TSM loses because of their bot lane in this game, because they can't draft around it and play around it correctly, like, how insane would that be? Because everybody knows that's going to be the win condition that Immortals tries to play through. That's really it. I mean, honestly, Insanity could have some good counter picks into Azir. Maybe that's a way that they can win this matchup as well. Like by being able to play stuff like Kassadin. That could be kind of interesting. Or being able to play Aurelia. That's somewhat... and Akali, I guess, too. Like, you basically sacrifice the early laning phase to try to be able to like get onto the Azir and pressure the Azir a lot during the mid game. The later mid game and the late game. I don't know. I guess I should want to play Immortals, right? Because TSM is a pretty bloody loser. I could see the reasoning behind it, and if somebody wanted to do it as like a 10% of their lineup kind of thing, I could see that. There's probably going to be a lot of sharp ownership on TSM or on Immortals. Could I do Immortals and Misfits? Maybe that's a way to get real different. I think it's going to be really tough to not play C9. And it's going to be really tough to not have your other team come from the middle match. What do you think? What do you think about Immortals ownership?
Probably going to be the lowest on the slate, I think, because even if... Yeah, it has to be the lowest on the slate, because people are going to play Misfits just on the off chance that Fnatic loses and they feed a lot. Yeah, I don't know. I would say throw in like a 4-stack at TSM just to get a little bit different, because C9, EG, and Misfits Fnatic all look really good from a scoring standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah, because whatever team you pick from the last game is going to be lower owned, so hopefully you are getting some kind of advantage, some ownership advantage over the field. But that's basically it. What do you think? Who's your favorite and your favorite underdog?
I guess Misfits. Who are they considering the underdog in C9 EG, I guess? EG?
Yeah, EG's the underdog.
Yeah, I see EG ownership being really high on this one.
Yeah.
I'd probably just have to go Misfits just because of that, honestly.
And then favorite?
Favorite. Like, TSM has to win this. Like, if I lose money betting on TSM here, like...
You'll feel crazy. Yeah. Imagine...
Yeah, it'll be...
Yeah. That's gonna be really tilting. I think, maybe that's the play. Maybe the play is just have some Immortals hedge lineups with your, like, C9 Misfits stacks. And then if you So you would want to have C9 Misfit stacks incorporating TSM as the third team sometimes, and then hedge. You would want C9 Misfits, Misfits C9, C9 Misfits with TSM as the third team, Misfits C9 with TSM as the third team, and then hedge stacks with Immortals as your primary stack, I think. Because like if TSM loses here, it's gonna be a shit show. It's gonna be like TSM giving up 20 kills a game and losing 3-1 or something like that. So I'd probably put the $10 in there just so that when I'm watching the games freaking out because TSM's playing like garbage, at least I could potentially make money off of it.
Yeah, it's. I just if TSM lose, like the internet will explode.
Yeah. Although maybe that's what we need. That's what we need for the prophecy to be fulfilled and have Danny bought out by TSM.
I wouldn't want him going to TSM.
Why not?
No.
Why not?
Fuck TSM.
That'd be pretty. I think that'd be pretty cool from a league like news perspective.
Yeah, it would be crazy. It'd be like the most talked about off-season thing. Like I was thinking about it today, like for Cloud9, because I guess I'll keep up with this team, but they have to only be bringing back top and mid lane and maybe support next year, right?
Who?
C9?
Blabber?
No, like they keep top, mid, and support.
They're not going to keep Blabber?
I don't see. I'm not convinced why they would.
Why?
He just hasn't been good.
Dude.
Or am I off on that?
You can't get rid of Blabber. You're not doing that. Nobody's going to do that.
The only problem with C9 is Sven then.
Yeah, I would never get rid of Blabber.
And you wouldn't get rid of anyone else on the team?
No. Perks is awesome. Vulcan's awesome.
That's weird.
Blabber's awesome. Fudge is awesome.
Okay.
You really...
Maybe
who's saying that Blabber's bad right now? Is that like a thing that people say?
That's just me.
So that's your eyeballs telling you from what you've watched?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who they go out and get. I don't think they could get someone amazing from the LEC or anything like that, but I don't know how you fix C9 when I was thinking about it earlier today.
That's a hot take. Well, go ahead. What were you going to say?
They could get a better AD carry, but you know, we've seen Sven or Perks throw a couple times. We've seen Blabber not have amazing performances in like a few games, even outside of MSI. And Fudge has gotten a lot better since like the very beginning of the split, so I think they want to stick with him.
Yeah, I think the thing with Blabber is just his reputation is so high and people think so much of him that playing anything under that level feels like he's playing like garbage, when in reality he's still probably the best jungler in North America. I think that C9 will be fine. I think that C9 will beat EG. I think they'll probably make a little run in the playoffs, and then I think that they have a chance to be not competitive at Worlds, because I think that the Sven problem is going to be kind of big, because it's tough to like play with that kind of mentality that like you're just going to not play around your AD carry.
Yeah.
So unless they like convince Sven to be more aggressive and like actually try to play around him again, but it doesn't seem like that's likely at all. So how far do you think that C9 with Danny as their AD carry could go?
I think they'd be better. It would take the bot lane a while to gel, I guess.
But like just talent wise, I mean, I think that team would be. They could make a run at Worlds, I think, because I think Danny's that good. He's a real difference maker. I just hope that he doesn't have his career wasted on a mediocre team. But that's basically it.
Do you see any of the outlandish things of like Danny like going to a different region or something like that? Or do you think he'll stay in the LCS?
I think he'll stay in the LCS. I think that he'll probably end up staying with Evil Geniuses. I just hope that he gets put onto a, I would say, bigger and better organization, but they had a pretty high evaluation when they sold off like a chunk of their ownership. So I don't know how much bigger C9 and TSM are, but I just think that I think that if we wanted a team to have a chance to win Worlds, Danny needs to be involved with that team in North America. And then they need to be in the right meta where like an AD carry can actually, hard carry a team similar to the one from last year. Yeah, that'd be nice. It'd be really cool to see. Because I see somebody like Danny, the kinds of plays that they make and the aggression that they play with. You don't see that with a lot of the other players throughout the world. So.
Okay, yeah, I guess that's just I don't know, my very bad take on C9, I guess. Um, so which game do you think is like the most fantasy upside here? Was it C9 EG or Misfits Fnatic?
The match with the highest upside is probably Misfits Fnatic.
Yeah. So you'd probably get most of your 4 stacks out of there.
I think most people will try to get their 4 stacks out of there. And then depending on how they stack with C9 and EG, like I think that the first 2 games are going to have a lot more ownership than the third game, just overall.
Okay. Well, do you want to stop here and then we'll come back on the other slates, or?
There's only the 2 other games. We should probably just save those.
Okay.
Probably save those for tomorrow.
Sounds good. Well, we'll be back with another episode of the Infinity Edge. I want to thank everyone for watching today. The esports department, if you have not heard, is now free for everything. The projections, the videos, the optimizer. Just sign up with an account. No more money anymore. If we do help you win a slate, there are donation buttons now. This gets spread out between everybody. If you do that, I appreciate you. But yeah, if you want to do something for us for free, just give us a like on this episode, subscribe to the Esports Department YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, follow the Esports Department, all that good stuff. You can find Michael at League of Items. You can find myself at XGhostRider90. Good luck on the slate, and let's go make some money.
See ya.